Lawrence, Deputy Commissioner of Urban and Economic Development. Brian Thomas is here, Commissioner of Urban and Economic Development. We also have our planner, which I'm going to call you the new planner, but I feel like you've been here a while now. This is Audrey Alex. Hamilton grad, loves the city, moved right in to take a job with us, which is cool. And we are working on effectively putting the very big picture vision of the entire city on paper through all these different state grant programs. This is the first time in quite some time we have been able to rationalize and legitimately qualify for applying to New York Forward, which is the grant program we are applying for the Uptown District. We also are putting together another DRI proposal for a different district. And we've also submitted a grant proposal under the Achieve program, which if you look it up, that's New York State's acronym. It's a different program that is really targeted towards very, very large urban infill. That's actually being applied for the Bag Square West district.
To fill in the area between the Nexus Center and Hotel Street.
Right, so just to really, I've spoken a lot about this in many different venues, but I look at the city, not that there's just a downtown and it has all of our residential areas around it. We have all these pockets of neighborhoods similar to, any large municipality. We're standing in a denser, mixed-use district right now. We did call it in our advertisement of this kind of our other downtown, right? But it always has been in a lot of ways.
If you look at the survey, that says it.
Yeah. The other thing that we're really trying to weave into all these different proposals is the fact that the city truly, if you look at the grid, not just the street grid, not just the sidewalks, not just the multimodal connectivity, but the parks, the green space, is woven through the city from the city's inception by Olmsted many, many years ago. If you look at the Frankfurt town line and go all the way past, up Burstone, all the way to New York Mills, you see truly almost like a parkland that goes from Frankfurt all the way to the other end of the city, okay? And it meets where Utica College is, Utica University, right? You take Utica University and go down Champlin Ave, okay, and you hit Erie Street. And now that connects to where our current DRI proposal is being put together for the Western Gateway District. You take that all the way to Culver Ave in East Utica, and what does it connect to? It connects right to the Olmsted Parks. It connects right to the parks. It's a giant loop woven through the city, on top of the fact that we have these very eclectic neighborhoods throughout the city, like Uptown, like the Brewery District, like a Bleecker Street, even a Jane Street, okay? You can look all throughout the city, like a Lenox Ave, believe it or not, right? You still have a lot of shops there. And we want to bring all that out, and whether this is an award or not, we're not looking at this like a win or lose, okay? We're putting on paper the actual components of the city so that we can socialize the true reconnected vision of how our city has been experiencing a rebirth, so that the state can see that, so that the county officials can see that, so the city can see that. This doesn't have to be a catalyst just through this. These grant applications are truly taking the input from constituents, from business owners, from property owners, from developers, and weaving in what actually is possible. Our DRI application last year, it was the first time a municipality had applied for a second round DRI. The application, while it wasn't awarded, spurred an actual conversation with the municipality from the Department of State level to us, where they came and did a bus tour.
Which we initially took as kind of a slight. They came in a couple months back and they said, oh,
we loved your application so much, we want to see everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
take us through the application that didn't win. So we hopped in a bus and we took them to everything and side, and they got really excited.
Right, and
They
this,
said, there's so many opportunities for you that are not within the DRI. Look at the BOA funding, look at the CFAs this season, and like work with us. And they gave us a lot of advice and technical assistance. And we got 7 applications submitted for that project area. And it was a great start.
so basically, yeah, we did last year's DRI proposal punch through and get a win? No, but what it did do, and it was the entire state level committee, all of the municipalities across the state that was here on this bus tour. And they were like, Utica is phenomenal. So what they did is they said, okay, you didn't win, but apply for that, apply for that, apply for that. We really love the fact that you put your application together this way, so next year do that again. They actually asked us why we put projects together that were funded. The people had site control, the entities had site control, and the projects were fully planned and ready to start. However, they weren't ready to start for 12 to 18 months. Initially, they critiqued us for that. They said, we want shovel-ready projects. And I said, well, if this money, if awarded, isn't showing up for 18 months, we don't want everyone to win the award and then hurry up and wait. So we've actually put together an application that is 100% realistic, but tied to the actual timing of the funds, because we don't want to stop development. We don't want to win a New York Forward application and someone's ready to start tomorrow, but now their funding is tied to something that they can't start for 12 months, right? We don't want to slow anything down. So that was one of the things we really talked about. Now, moving on from like the grant applications themselves, it's really important to understand the boundaries and what we can and cannot do. And that's really why Achieve ended up in Bank Square. DRI ended up in what we're calling the Western Gateway District, the Greater Brewery District, and that's why New York Forward is this right here. So I really appreciate everyone being here right now. I would like Chris to expand on some of the other projects we're kind of already envisioning.
Within this district?
Within this district,
Yes.
yes, of course.
And I just want to reaffirm that when we talk about the boundary, as I was speaking to somebody earlier, this is a fluid boundary. This is what we've proposed. It might be too large. There might be areas where, you know, as you get closer towards the St. Elizabeth's area and Lord's Church, you might see that there's no interest in projects. We actually haven't heard from, you know, large property owners in that area yet. So we might condense this to be even more compact and walkable, which is a benefit because the New York Forward, one of the criteria, they want to see small, walkable areas with, you know, everything's within a 5 to 10 minute walk. And Uptown is definitely that compact little node, which is beautiful. We've got the recreation over here in the Marine Field. The county, if you remember, recently put in a turf field, and they're looking to make, I believe, another close to $4 million of improvements.
That's a staged project.
So,
And for the first time in a long time, they came to us / the administration and said, hey, we're really thinking about reinvesting in Murnane down at the stadium. There's 3 options we can move on. What is your opinion? Do you still want it in the neighborhood? Obviously, the answer yes, that's part of the character of this neighborhood. And we actually worked with them on what the future of that stadium looks like, which is great because that type of partnership, especially with an application like this.
and we understand that there's only $4.5 million available, so don't think that that whole 4 is going to be submitted for this this project.
What we're
We will
hoping
take a
is,
phase.
yeah, well, so basically what I'm hoping is that these are small, agile projects from the private sector that really create a catalyst for more development. This district is one of the main districts we put together business development slide decks for. And when you really look at that proposal, to look at the list of businesses that exist within 10 blocks of here, it's insane. When you look at the diverse amount of zoning that we have overlaid with the different property owners, but then also larger property owners, it kind of, it opens your eyes as to why we've kind of been stagnant, right? We want to be a catalyst to get everything going. We want people to build, develop, or sell, right? We want things to happen.
And that being said, we have taken an active approach in reaching out to the owners of the bowling alley site. Because just like everybody in this room, I'm sure everybody has seen it and thought to themselves, dear God, please don't be another storage unit or another car wash. And we actually told them that on the phone. They expressed to us that this was left to them. They are in their third commercial real estate broker. They're trying to sell this. And we're doing everything we can to just get them to just hold on for just a little bit longer. And this grant opportunity is something that is keeping them from selling this to the first person that comes in the door.
Because there was a car wash and there was a storage facility who did want to purchase that property. So we were like,
What would you like to see happen with that?
So can I just soapbox a few things?
Please.
So here's the key, right? And this is where we can kind of open this up. We truly want all of your ideas, right? If it's me, right, just a couple simple things, just to throw it out there, because anything can be suggested here, right? Scenic and historic's a big thing, right? Okay. Part of this grant application from the private sector, but also from the municipal side for small little agile infrastructure projects, could be, I don't want to use the word restoring, but creating a situation from edge to edge on the boundary, incentivizing people to reconform to the scenic and historic guidelines in this district, which would be great, right? Especially if they want to do it because we're working with them. Another crazy idea, which some people think is a little crazy, others don't, right? I love taking spaces like this. It's all just asphalt. What if we envisioned this area? Now, granted, this isn't our property. This isn't a municipal thing. But I'm just saying, what if in between all of these residential neighborhoods and all these shops, all of a sudden here, you almost had smaller, agile, retail, residential, or mixed-use space that was nestled in an arboretum. I'm just throwing it out there, right? What if, you could propose that in this type of grant application.
And that's nice because then you get the benefit of the green space without having another city park that we have to maintain.
Right, and then all of a sudden it creates, like Chris was saying, that walkable space, the connectivity, the warmth of an actual kind of metro rural area combined with the fact that, believe it or not, this is one of the most, not in a bad way, high trafficked areas for business development and residential use. Second to downtown, right? Because like downtown, right over here, we have yet another 1285 interchange. People don't think about that. Believe it or not, this was the potential site and interest of a car dealership, right? Brian Barr used to be right here. Because we don't realize how many people come through this district today. It's absolutely insane. So the marketability of this district, whether or not this award is put to plan, is real. So what are your opinions? What do you want to see? We have.
And we'd like them written down.
Yeah, we want them written down.
You guys wanna,
If you have any questions about the application, I kind of just want to open it up for questions.
But
and then-
I do also want to just point out the fact that we have spoken to some businesses that have some larger anchor projects. Anchor projects are considered to be projects that are $75,000 and over in total cost. If there's anything that's lower than that, we will still hold on to that, and that'll be put into a business assistance fund, just as happened in downtown. And that'll just be meant for smaller improvements that need to be made. If the Green Onion, if they know that in 2 years, their freezers or their refrigerator is gonna just completely just conk out, they can hold it together and keep repairing, knowing that in 2 years, once this, once this timeline is, elapsed, they can then seek to purchase something with these funds. But I also want to let you know that there are municipal projects that we're submitting, which are streetscape improvements.
I'm going to take a picture of all of you real quick from my standpoint, actually, just because I want to.
We're definitely looking to do some streetscape improvements. I've had businesses ask, well, can I put new sidewalks in? But I truly don't think that that is something that the businesses
Yeah,
should
don't
have
waste
to-
your catalyst fund on the sidewalks. We'll handle that, right?
So on Genesee Street, we'd be looking to go from essentially Memorial Parkway all the way down to pretty much Hampton Place, and once the business, main commercial drag stops.
Mhm.
And then we're contemplating also doing a little bit of work on Sunset Ave, just because as you come off, like they were saying, off of Route 5, 8, or 12, it's just really not that appealing.
It's actually very similar to Oriskany Street. It actually now has a really interesting mix of businesses and residential mixed into it, but at the same time, it almost looks, this is exaggerating, but it looks almost like post-industrial, right? Like we haven't really maintained anything in a while because we haven't.
It's not
yeah.
picturesque.
Yeah,
But that said, we would also take a look at the other main connector, which is Parkside Court down Shepherd Place, connecting Genesee Street and Sunset Ave. So just to keep that in mind.
Yeah, questions? And I'll kind of just share it. Yes?
Could there be possibly a sit-down restaurant in this district?
So that's one of the things I would really want you to write down, but yes, those are, and we're talking to a lot of the different property owners and current businesses on if they're interested in anchor projects like that, yes.
Warren?
It's like a plethora, word I hate, but I could picture in that area a variety of types of businesses, vinyl sales, restaurants,
Sure.
all in a walkable area, and I think it would be fabulous to have some kind of variety exists there of retail, commercial.
And that's at the bowling alley site?
Well, so here's what's interesting, right? Now, Consumer Square, for example, is like this manufactured commercial neighborhood.
Right.
We could do that for real,
Right.
right?
Just
And it's
as we always had.
Yeah, and it's actually here.
manufactured, right.
Yeah, and it's real. It's part of a real grid that was already here, because a lot of it is here. Sherwin-Williams, Buzz Bakery, Emerson,
And
I
for
can start
example,
listing stuff, it's crazy.
We have been in talks, so just like we spoke, we wanted to talk to the largest property owners in this compact area. So those included 1700 Genesee Street Corporation, which owns that bowling alley site. And we've also spoken to the Romano family, which owns the lots, I call it Auburn Meadows.
All the grass that's left on Auburn Ave.
As well as the King Cole Plaza and the South Town Plaza. So they were very interested in this opportunity to maybe bring some cohesion to the two plazas. And I think that would be great because, like Warren said, we could start to really attract people to these more attractive retail spaces while contemplating retail in other spaces.
Do the city have any interest in purchasing a bowling alley? They can make it a rec center. I mean, we're seeing in the news that all these kids under the age of 14 continue to get in trouble. I mean, maybe providing a space where they could go instead of out on the streets. I mean, it's a huge facility,
So-
whether it's a roller skating rink or,
So that's what we're trying to actually be a catalyst of, but no, we are not interested in, nor do we technically have the wherewithal, or is there interest to sell it to us? So that's the other, it's like all three aren't happening. Regarding the
We do
kids,
have some other opportunities.
we have some other
possible.
opportunities that we're thinking about there, that we have to work out, but in the interim, what we did with the rec center last year,
And these are opportunities, just to clarify,
Yeah.
because I know
Yeah.
we've been talking about retail in this space, but
but
we have other opportunities to possibly get some more
Yeah.
things for youth activities.
But just what we are doing though right now, I do want to iterate through it really quick because it's right here, right, with the rec center. Last year, we started running, I'll call it drop-in, right? Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 12 months a year. And that's real. This year, as the program has grown, it's truly taking shape in the form of like a Boys and Girls Club used to be. Where now, this year, we've added Hamilton College students who are just there for the kids. We have added, foosball tables and ping pong and all that type of stuff. That wasn't going on before. So while it's in that building, that's where we're starting to grow the program, we have other buildings we're looking at doing that. But we have to have, buy-in from the property to do something.
One thing I also forgot, because I'm a spaz and I won't forget everything. Luckily Audrey's taking down notes, and one of the other components that the city is going to propose in this application is a residential rehab program for homes in this neighborhood, which I think will be pretty nice. Brian is in the back there, and he's the mastermind behind formulating this plan, and I don't have all of the I's and T's dotted and crossed. But
The point is, with all these applications, rather than saying, hey, let's take all these old quote buildings that are empty, gut them and prepare them for leasing, all right, which is a lot of what we did in our prior applications similar to this that were awarded. We want to make sure there is a residential component, there is a municipal infrastructure component, and both a private sector component that are both equally weighted and strong. So that you can, if awarded, this would truly rise up the entire district, not just kind of that one sector. Other questions?
yes.
We got you and then you. We're gonna go like, all right, yes. All right.
So, property-related questions. One, what is the status of the Vulcan?
Mhm.
Two, what is the status of St. Elizabeth, former St. Elizabeth Hospital?
All right, so real quick status in St. Elizabeth's, which is not involved in this, because it would literally, this entire grant award wouldn't even touch the project, okay? When is the RFP going out, Brian? We're actually there.
The consultant team that worked on the 4 alternative reuse scenarios is currently in the process of finalizing a request for proposals that once it's complete, MVHS will put out and hopefully seek development proposals.
And that's like a 30-day out type of thing, not a 6 months out.
Correct.
So.
And this also
Yeah.
hinges on when MVHS gets this out, because it is their property.
Right, so that's the other thing. We worked with them to kind of get them to do this, but the RFP they will be putting out. We are going to be a seat at the table to actually review what comes back. And we've been working with the state endlessly to see if we can get a special allocation to help prepare that site, separate from these types of proposals that would truly help the neighborhood. Because I don't want to see St. Elizabeth's become a vacuum in the wake of the downtown hospital being completed, and then take away all of our opportunities like this. So we need to balance that. Now, the second question was the Balkan Hadley. The status of that is the Balkan has been gutted inside and has a new roof on it. They didn't gut the bar. And the Hadley, they still have an open liquor license on, and they do operate it, not as a normal, just open all the time, walk in and out, but it is open from here and now. Now, what's interesting is,
For private, right?
yeah, well, it's not just, so technically, if they're having a private party, you typically could just walk in, because people do. But separate from that, that's what they're doing. That's the status. But like everything else, the Vulcan Hadley, the Uptown, this building, the bowling alley, okay, every single,
Uptown Plaza.
every single property owner, we are inviting to propose what they could do to move this neighborhood in the direction we want to see it moved in. And the Vulcan and Hadley are one of those, equally with everyone else under the sun. So, just so you're aware, I mean, that's the real.
You're saying it's open? It's not open?
So that is not open with regular business hours.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, it's
And to
not-
what you said, somebody said earlier, it does appear to be open on a whim.
Yeah, it's like,
But I will say that, just like you, I did go, and I, Mr. Kravitz, myself, into the State Liquor Authority, and I did my own research. I'm like, do they even have a license? I'm like, if they're not, I'm like, they need to be shut down.
right, they do.
I did find that it is active.
Yeah, so that's the Hadley side. The
It's
Vulcan
frustrating.
side, you
It's so
can't,
beautiful inside.
yeah, it's very frustrating. And just so everyone's aware, if you don't know the history, that entire structure that's on the sidewalk was a joint venture between the municipality and Boyd Bissell and Pierre. So that wasn't like they got some permit and did that and never, encroached or what have you. That was actually a joint project between the administration at the time and that business to create the first sidewalk cafe in Utica. So
And it was really beautiful.
It was also funded.
2008, 2009 season.
it was also funded in part by the city, way back when that happened. And now because of that, it's also part of our problem to fix. So we'd like this application hopefully to, solve maybe that as well. Even if it's a minor improvement.
If I also can speak just for a second about residents, so,
You did have a question,
I
but really,
had
yeah.
I had the same question about the Hadley across
Yeah.
the street. It's definitely not open, except for private parties that they do. Has anybody ever spoken to them about like moving them a little bit?
Yeah.
Because they've done this to so many other properties throughout Utica area, where they start something and then they get bored or whatever and stop.
Well, so it's two properties, but yeah.
Yes, we have spoken to them, and we are encouraging them to take part in this and, see if they have any significant, anchor-worthy projects that they'd like to pursue. And as frustrating as it is, because I'm on the camp of the frustration that you're feeling with this.
As am I. Yeah.
But at the same time, I also can't let, my strong feelings of this get in the way of a potential solution to this. And if this is a way that is a foot in the door,
It's gonna help everyone.
even to the point we made earlier is, even if we're not awarded this grant, we've still had so many conversations with these businesses and with these building owners and property owners that now they're thinking about these things. And even if this doesn't come about, maybe there's a way now, okay, you're thinking about it, how can we work, what do you need to get open? And it's just been a really great, just economic development outreach
And
exercise.
I do speak with them quite a bit because they have the mansion house down by O'Reilly Auto, which now has received like another $400,000 worth of work. They shift around just to address that particular.
It's like that House of Mazes that's in
Yeah.
California, the woman that inherited the gun factory.
Right.
They killed so many people, now she was constantly.
Yeah, so, but last summer, they had all the appropriate permitting. On the Vulcan side, they put a brand new roof on and then gutted all the ceilings
And if you
because
peer
they were
inside,
replacing all the electrical.
you can't
And then they
see.
move on to another, and then they move on to another project. So it's kind of like they're just shifting around. So we're trying to get some continuity and have them finish that. Yes.
Going way back, the Taylor and the Cook actually offered to run their place up here.
Right.
And the thing is that what Boyd and those guys never wanted to do is have somebody do something that works where they weren't able to make something work. But we could have had Taylor and Cook right up here.
We could have, and we can still have something of that caliber.
So, two things. One, yes, completely. But the second thing is this, and I've had to deal with this, not just with this particular situation or the Bissell, family in general, but if we get hung up on those two storefronts and concentrate on the fact that it's driving us absolutely insane, we're not going to put together a proposal that can win for the entire neighborhood. So, in all seriousness, it's not just this room. We field these conversations and deal with this day in and day out with those two storefronts from a lot of different constituents. So I appreciate it.
We are definitely working on it. Anybody else?
Thank you. So I think this conversation sort of speaks to my concern, which is what I'm understanding is that we're applying for funds to help businesses redevelop, or I guess what I'm wondering, how much of this $4.5 million are we applying for that would go directly into the city versus would go into the hands of the landlords? How exactly will this be administered?
I guess, what is, so before we even get into the details of that, what is the concern?
I'm concerned, just hearing my neighbors' concerns, that the landlords who are the major property holders here will not cooperate with the actual redevelopment that you're putting forward.
That's,
If they are somebody that we've reached out to or that's contacted us.
They're not in the application.
And they're in search of funds,
Okay.
they have to adhere to, they have to be on board with, redeveloping and activating these spaces.
Okay.
We have no intention of giving, we're not giving anything, but we have no intention of supporting somebody's application if they are going to take it, do some work and just let it sit.
yeah.
And unfortunately, this is why we're talking to the property owners and landlords. You have to have their buy-in, but.
A lot of the projects, we want to come from them as well.
Right.
We're not like, hey, you want to do this with your building?
And we haven't,
It has to be a
we have
genuine.
we have a couple weeks remaining, but our idea is we didn't want to, we tried to get all of these projects to us by, the second week of October. That was wishful thinking. We know it's going to evolve. So once we have everybody's projects into us, and we can start vetting them like, okay, this is definitely an anchor project based on the amount it's going to take to achieve it, but also based on the reality of it happening. And then the rest of it comes into the business assistance fund. And then we weigh in, okay, how much would we apply for the Genesee Street, streetscape improvement? All right, the next, maybe we'll do Sunset.
Well, the other thing I
How
want to
much is
know,
it going-
though-
Because we don't want to overpower
So-
it with municipal.
So here's the thing,
either.
the other thing I want to know here, and it's especially particular with this district, different than downtown, different than a lot of spaces in West Utica and East Utica. If you look through the property owners, it's still owned by local people. So this whole the landlords are gonna take the money and run away with it, that's not, the whole point of a grant application like this is that this money will be invested into this district and live in the district. It's not somehow being sucked out of. That's why it's tied to capital improvements. It's tied to facade. It's tied to infrastructure. Because then, if that happens, how can that go wrong, right? If someone who currently doesn't have a leasable space for the restaurant everyone is asking for, now can both lease to a restaurant, okay, and do that without the overhead of the fact that they had to just replace all of their electrical. And I'm not talking about the Vulcan or Hadley right now, by the way, because it seems like that's on everyone's mind. That's good for the neighborhood. That investment now is part of what lowers the cost of that building, because now there was an incentivized development.
And for an example, like the King Cole in the South Town, if you're bringing this up to a point where, like, oh, I feel confident that if I invest and start my small business here, I might stay and grow, and you might attract different businesses than you would if it was just left as it is. I don't think much has changed there in the last 25 years. So again, everything that we're trying to drum up proposal-wise from landlords, from small business owners, et cetera, we're just trying to improve the overall quality of this neighborhood. You know, to keep this, I'll always go back to I'll always go back to Grand Union Plaza and Emden's Plaza there at King Cole, when everything was within walking distance. I lived on Upper Emerson Ave, and we never had to leave this area.
So, all right, so
we
here's
want
what
to
I
be
want
able
to
to
do.
bring all of those people back here.
Here's what I would like to do. I want to kind of rip the Band-Aid off on something that, I'm going to say so we can get to the good part of this meeting, right? This is not a public meeting to dispel rumors that people are going to get the money and we're going to spend it wrong, or, all these different questions we can come up with. All the things people are always concerned with these grant proposals. The whole point of getting everyone in this room is to open up your minds and truly think about what you see for this neighborhood. Please write them down. Talk to us personally. Get that stuff going.
And we
Look
do
at
have,
these,
we have
look
paper,
at these
we
maps.
have paper surveys as
Yeah,
well,
we have the
just in
paper
case
surveys.
You're not in the Facebook.
Well, so,
crowd.
hang on. Yeah, so, no, and be messengers of this, right? If every single person in this room tells 10 people to fill out this survey, you have a ton of survey entries. The more public input we have that matches the type of application we build, that makes your application stronger because it means it was born out of the minds of the actual constituents of the neighborhood. We don't want to just sit in an office and figure this out and make an application. So I really would like to, get that out there. So.
You have a question?
Yeah, I apologize if this is a little off topic,
No, you're fine.
but I was curious, does the mayor's office also have any plans in the works to reconcile or compensate non-baseball money for the loss of their sandwich shop across from here? Or like any way of using this grant money to help like reduce the amount of requirements in the neighborhood?
Can you repeat the question, please?
So,
Did you hear it, or I can also repeat?
It is off topic. It was a question to see if the city, in any way, shape, or form, has plans to compensate the family of Dion. That is currently the subject of a lawsuit, so I would like to keep it on the topic of this grant. But regarding the commentary on just youth, we did talk about that before you walked in, actually. And we've been doing quite a bit with youth, and one of the things we did in particular this summer was work specifically with the Karen population and activate O'Connor Park for their first annual, and I was down there was hundreds and hundreds of people down there. They had an entire sports event where they had multi-city teams from all over the area who came together to play soccer, volleyball, multiple other sports. They also had food, etc. So we do this administration in the mayor's office, as you put it, is stopping at nothing to increase the amount of opportunities for youth to not have idle hands, which lead to just unfortunate situations.
And while she's not here, due to an illness, we also have hired a director of community development. So we are trying to get city staff out more into the community, into more different, populations of groups, whether it be the other side, or it be Osana, or what have you.
It's actually a targeted role now in the Urban and Economic Development Office, woken back up by this. So yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Are there any proposals already being made by any of the businesses that you talked to?
Within this district so there are So obviously. the
Answer is yes.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I mean, I won't go through the entire, and, you know, I'll come and talk to you. But, I mean, we've definitely spoken to Uptown Plaza, like I said, the Romanos. We've spoken to the Uptown Theater. We've actually spoke today with the owner of this building. Spoke to Boyd and Pierre about theirs. We reached out to Sturgis Manufacturing. We've spoken with the county, and everybody, people are very receptive to this. And like I said, no matter what, I think we're gonna be better because of this exercise. Yes,
When did you say the deadline is for this grant application?
the deadline for this grant application to be turned in from the city is November 7th.
Oh,
Well, we already started writing. This is not, you know, this is,
And you can take a look at the schedule down there. These are always so fun. Just like the CFAs, this is a shorter window than most of the applications. This opened up September 3rd. They're due on the 7th. We should hear back from the state probably sometime in the spring. Typically not until like maybe April. I think we might have heard in May if people want this year. If we are awarded, the state will, they'll appoint a planning firm that's selected to the region. We will work with them and state officials from the Department of State and possibly Homes and Community Renewal, and we'll form an LPC, a local planning committee. The local planning committee is made up of, you know, there's probably like 15.
a band of your peers.
A band of your peers, yes. So from within this district, that'll be who this committee is made up of. And they will open up a call for projects again, as if this wasn't enough of a production. Just in case anybody has come up with anything and they want to enter this again. But that slate will be turned over to the state. It will be ranked and reviewed by the committee. There will be a formal like, rubric and, you know, scoring. And then once that is done, that gets turned over to New York State. They approve or deny it. They might come back and say, it's a really nice slate that you proposed. However, we think that this is more important and, you know, move this up or edit.
Yeah, ultimately, we don't decide, right? We are
just do our best
giving
to
them
advocate.
kind of the buffet of what to pick from, is the best way I could put it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So all in all, by the time all is said and done, these projects should be either fully commenced or wrapping up within 2 years.
So it's a little faster than some of the others. Now, I do want to mention one thing, like why are we prepared to deal with the timeline that quickly? In a proactive fashion, before this even opened up and before we realized and knew, I shouldn't say realized, before we kind of could fit New York Forward into Utica, New York, we're proactively doing the work that allows us to be agile enough to put an application together like this. If we hadn't put together our business development deck, if you will, and already cataloged and figured out who all the property owners are and who their contacts are, the property managers in the current state, if we hadn't done all the placer AI stats and figured out, you know, where all your traffic was, foot traffic, bike traffic, cars, if we hadn't done a zoning overlay on top of all the properties that are currently existing, and also done an entire business development assessment of all of the actual businesses and food and beverage, you know, establishments that are open. So we had that entire list. Maybe having something open up mid-September and having it ready by November 7th would have been completely insane. But one of the things that we're doing now, Brian Thomas, you know, is the commissioner of this office. Like Chris said, we have a director of community development, we have a deputy commissioner now, we have a planner who are working on all these things in real time so that we're ready, so that when something fits and an opportunity arises, we can apply. But then in the off cycle, we're still working with all of the business owners, residential constituents and property owners to see what else we can do.
I've got quite a bit of experience in grant writing and been very successful, so I'm just offering my help if, for the November 7th application, I'd be happy to help put together.
It's very much appreciated, Lauren.
Just reach out to me and I'll be there.
Thank you.
Maybe you can, take a read and give us some suggestions.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in all honesty, yeah, that would be really helpful.
Yeah.
I know the woman on the blue list.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Had
yes.
her- or you-
Wait,
you had your hand up.
here.
Is any of the proposed money that you plan on trying to obtain, is any of it for any property owner residential improvements?
Yeah, we mentioned that. So there's going to be a component here that is a residential rehab component. Yes.
Yes.
What does that mean, residential rehab, for you guys?
So, Brian, could you sum up the residential rehab just in
We'll
just in
throw
general?
the football over there.
Sure. Similar work we've done in the past with UNHS. It would combine, it would utilize and leverage state grant dollars and look for probably a minimum match for homeowners to make certain improvements to their homes. In all likelihood, the improvements would be exterior, so as to contribute to the improvement of the neighborhood as opposed to interior. But we're still working to massage exactly how that program looks and works.
So think a lot of like porches, roofs, windows, siding.
Especially if you're in the, I mean, this is me, I want to have a pretty big focus on the fact that this is the scenic and historic district as well. So, if we can incentivize someone,
Along Genesee Street.
well, right, but I'm saying if we can
Side
incentivize
streets do not be
someone,
alarmed.
if we can incentivize someone fixing their roof, but also making it fit the scenic and historic guidelines, or putting in new windows, but having that extra bump so you can get the windows that fit the original construction of the actual home. Those are the types of things that both would increase the efficiency of the home, but also tie into why this exists.
Well, I mean, you're inviting people, per se, to go to Murnane Field, and when people are there, they walk
Yes.
to Arby's, to Fast Track.
Exactly.
They're walking in our neighborhood.
Right.
Right.
So I would assume you would want those to look a certain way, because
Precisely.
people want to be safe in neighborhoods they're walking in.
100%, yes. So all of these applications, I said this at the head of the discussion, we're trying to submit components where there's municipal projects, infrastructure, that type of stuff, a residential component which would focus on residential rehabilitation to rise up the, not just value of the neighborhood, but the aesthetic value of the neighborhood, right? And then, of course, your business catalyst funds, which are typically already part of this.
Yes.
Talking about the residential rehab, do you have a theme that approved, let's say, certain color? Some person would want to have a certain style. Is there a theme at the city that will approve yes? This is a yes, that's a no?
If it's within the scenic and historic district, yes.
Okay.
There is definitely, there's a lot of guidance.
Okay.
As to what you can and cannot do, just right out. But if it's within just, if it's, on Emerson Ave, or Auburn, or Hampton, no, there's typically not.
So you can do whatever color, whatever style?
Yes.
Okay.
But one thing that's, I found that was pretty interesting was the number of residents who are living in this district has been on a steady incline for the last 6 years. It's, I don't want to say significant, statistically speaking, but just listening to these two talk, I'm very excited to see what we can do to draw in a lot more and already capitalize on what we're already seeing too, on the increases that we're already seeing.
Yeah, because I'm restoring, not necessarily in this neighborhood, I'm restoring an old house, as you know. Two big old houses, and
Yes.
I follow the guidelines to the T. And Sure, just wondering.
Well, one, that's appreciated. Two, I'm hoping if, let's say we were awarded this, and this was a catalyst of a bunch of people doing residential rehabilitation exterior projects that absolutely conform with scenic and historic, I'm hoping that'll kind of like get the ball rolling on everyone being like, oh, wow, this looks like there's reason for this. So it would also help people comply as well.
And again, what you're doing is fantastic, and is also, they're both in the scenic and historic district, correct?
Yes.
So that is why there is such stringent guidance. You know, to anybody else in the neighborhoods that are not in the scenic and historic district, we certainly don't want to make it more difficult for them to repair their houses and to make them more comfortable and to make them more attractive.
But we have had a lot of different conversations, myself being one of the reasons for those, even before I was like mayor. Right now, there is kind of outside the scenic and historic district, you could do whatever. Now, I don't want to restrict people doing what they want with their property. However, I do feel like, especially in a lot of the neighborhoods where we aren't technically in the scenic and historic district, there are row houses. There are specific architectural just segues that are natural. And we're trying to figure out some way where we could have, I guess, a larger kind of form-based code type of situation going on, but then not create a situation where someone buys a house at the end of the street and they want to put on a certain shingle on their roof and their neighbor can go grieve it. You know, that would be very detrimental. It makes sense on, you know, a Genesee Street, but, you know, we do have to balance that. You had another question.
Yeah, the mixed-use project you mentioned, is that actually in development, or is that just that's a beginning idea?
The crazy thing I said about like the arboretum and all that, that's literally me saying, hey, this is something we could propose here because it would be awesome.
Okay. So there's no, at this point, actually.
None of this
No,
is
that's-
real.
that's-
Yeah, that's the
that's-
thing. Like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, we should just open our minds and write down like awesome stuff because it could happen. Now, I think that would be great. Someone else might think otherwise, you know, but that's.
You.
So I just stepped in and I'm gonna ask a question. So the discussion of the aesthetics is great, roofs, paint, but the concern, a lot of these older houses, black insulation,
Mhm.
talk about the R factor with the windows. Will those people be at the table when the discussions start? So you go to one source, say, hey, you qualify for an insulation upgrade, a window upgrade?
Yes.
Is that all be part of the discussion?
Yes, and that's typically why, for example, they'll go through like UNHS, because then someone is talking to an advisor effectively who says, this is what we could do. I think it was before you stepped into, Brian described how we're trying to construct the residential rehabilitation in this. Typically, it's a lot of exterior improvements, which can segue into windows, which will be that type of, you know, improvement like you're talking about. Brian's also looking in to see if we can get a little bit further than the door for what can be done. Under this grant program, by the way, there's a lot of other things that we apply for. Anything else?
So this is a brainstorming meeting?
That is a big part of why we are having this meeting. It's brainstorming, or if you came here with a specific idea, write it down. Absolutely, 100%. Your question.
Yeah, within this application, do you have to specify the actual businesses that you want to bring in?
So it's not that the businesses we want to bring in.
No.
As part of all these applications, we just need buy-in if projects are being proposed on land that the city doesn't own. So the state does want to know if this is awarded, the projects they select ultimately through in coordination with our local planning committee will happen. Because that's, you know, for example, with our DRI was it 2016 or 19?
2019.
2019, was actually fairly successful. Only 3 of the projects, which sounds crazy, but how many were there? It was, how many, Brian?
Close to 25, I believe.
Yeah, there's close to 25 projects. Only 3 of those projects were either canceled or terminated of the 25. we, according to the state, are one of the most successful DRIs that happened. So the state really wants to know if something's awarded, it will happen. So it's not, we're looking for actionable projects. This won't be a situation, even if someone wants to, they can, but it's not a situation where you want to bring in a certain franchise, or you want to, do something where you attract something. The projects that we want to see in this application, once they're done, it will be happening. So,
When they come back, if we're selected, when they come back, they're gonna wanna see more detailed
Right.
information.
right.
Right now, it's just really, really up high up there. So,
Which is why I'm saying, why don't we just create an arboretum with businesses in the middle
mixed
of it?
use
But
arboretum?
yeah.
So who owns the parking lot from the backside of Tony's Pizzeria to the fire station? Who owns
So
that
that is,
parking lot?
it is 1700 Genesee Street, Corp.
It's all one entity.
Yeah, it is one entity. There are, I think, 5 or 6 like shareholders or partners in it. The woman that we
Multiple, by the way.
Well,
Ish.
some of them are. The woman that we're speaking to, her name is Joan Bondura. She lives in Virginia. She grew up in Utica. Her parents actually worked developing all of the plazas that are in this area.
Mhm.
And when they passed away, it got left to her, or at least their shares got left to her and to her sister, I believe. There's a couple of other people that are local involved. She must have not attended the meeting where they decided that we're going to select somebody to be the manager of this. So she drew the short straw, she said,
Mhm.
and now she has to, work on this.
It
But
had
we're trying to be a good
yeah,
partner.
as of a few years ago, it did have local management. Because
Yes.
at one time, there was discussion of an Aldi coming in here. And there was 3 main players, which are household names. But yeah, it's all one entity. So the Walgreens is not part of it, by the way.
Can you point out what the boundary is?
So the boundary is roughly,
Entire block.
so it is the bowling alley, go behind it. So what's not a part of this is McDonald's, Bagel Grove, and Tony's. They, I believe, all 3 of them had land leases, but they now are fully owned by the entities. So it goes all the way back to Firstone Road. And the grassy area behind Walgreens is not a part of this. That is privately owned by the same entity that owns Walgreens.
Right.
I think all in all, it's 4.3 acres.
It's an extremely valuable and marketable site. I mean, it's just what you could do with that amount of acreage in the middle of the city.
We've actually overlaid like 2 scale buildings from Consumer Square to show that, meanwhile, we're not like, oh, hey, big box, come to us. That we can fit them here.
But it's possible. We're showing everyone, look, this is real. The market's here. The people are here.
Yeah, like LLB and J. Crew, you could have gone right there.
Yeah, like seriously, it's-
And is that still a operating restaurant, or is that just a food truck?
It's a commercial kitchen now with this food truck attached to it, yeah, at this point. Yeah.
And that's actually, I'm glad that you said that, because that's another building owner that we have not been in contact with. But as you've seen.
He
that
did reach
building is
out.
for sale. So,
But we haven't
the
met.
mayor and I have to speak to
Yeah.
find what intel he.
Yeah, we have a couple, yeah. We have a couple buildings we want to. But again, if we don't have buy-in, our application has to be real enough and backed by actual catalyst ideas. We don't want to drag a bunch of people begrudgingly into this and not win it.
How about the Jim Brock building?
That's the one we were just talking about.
Yep.
Status, yes.
So if nobody else has any other questions,
We can mingle. We don't
Yeah,
have to
we'll-
end
we'll
the
be
meeting.
around.
Yeah. But come check out these maps. We're all available to kind of stand at any of these slides and maps to discuss things. And would love all of your input, because There will literally be scanned copies of that going with the application, so the state can like see your handwriting on the wall.
Thank you.
Okay? Thank you. Thank you so much for hosting us.